How's it going, everyone? I'm the Lumble Humberjack, and today we're playing Minecraft. But it's not just any Minecraft. No, sir. It's our Redstone world. We're here to make another Redstone video. And our subject for the day? The Crafter. Minecraft's newest Redstone block that's going to revolutionize, and has basically already revolutionized everything. Let's just take a look and see if we can figure out some tips and tricks on how to use this thing. Alright, so the Crafter is a magical looking block, at least to me, because it's got a whole bunch of different textures. And it's one of those special blocks that will be placed in different orientations depending on the direction that you're looking. So you can even get this nice underside texture here, and if we go up a bit, right, one could even place them down to get the texture on the top or on this side. And any different rotation you can think of, you can make that happen. And so the first kind of use is, of course, as a decoration. But let's take a look at how this works in ways other than decorations. So the Crafter has a 3x3 grid, just like your workbench where you would normally craft things. And if you click on them, it raises them up. And if you click on the raised ones, it lowers them back down. And you'll see that clicking on them disables slots. So now I can put stuff on there if I want to do that, but then it's activated again. So what disabling a slot does is it makes it so that that slot is skipped when you're putting stuff in the Crafter. Otherwise, what you're going to see is that they go in the top row order from left to right, then the middle row order from left to right, then the bottom row order from left to right. And we can see, once you have a recipe in there, you are able to make a helmet, but you can't click on it or anything. You have to give it a redstone signal. Now, to make the crafters themselves, you need a couple of different things. You need 5 iron ingots, crafting bench, a dropper, and 2 redstone dust. That will let you make crafters. Now, the simplest thing that you can do to craft, slap a button on there so it gets a redstone signal, and press it. There we go. We get a Crafter. It has been automatically crafted, and every time we hit this button, since we got a whole bunch of items in there, it works kind of like a chest or a hopper, or a dropper or dispenser, all those things that hold items. We'll just be able to make a whole bunch of them. Because we all know the first thing that you're going to want to do is make an auto crafter that crafts crafters. But you don't just have to spit them out into the open world like this. You can actually put a receptacle in front of it, something that holds items, and it will place the crafter inside of your barrel or chest or whatever other thing you have there. So you can store items from the crafter into inventories, which is pretty darn nice. You can feed it items from a hopper by placing items in an inventory, and you'll see that that starts to replenish our iron in the order that it would appear. It doesn't just go one slot by one slot, it puts things in order, which is really nice, and that creates a very unique way to actually get this thing set up, right? If you're just trying to make like helmets, right, you can block off all of these. Oh god, oh goodness. You can block off all of these, and if you put iron in there, it will fill it up in order. So blocking off these slots lets you do some really nice things like that. And if you need to, you can come back in and drop these down on the corners and get back to crafting crafters. But yes, that is how that works. Shift clicking will put stuff in like a normal receptacle. Now, if you have leftover items in a crafter that you don't want to use anymore, you can automate taking them out by bringing them out with a hopper. You'll see it will slowly drain. It won't go in order this time. It will just drain things one at a time as you progress along the crafter's inventory, but it will drain things out and into some other receptacle. So you can, for instance, you could lock your hopper if you wanted to make sure that nothing was being drained out, and then when you were done crafting, you could send a signal, kill the redstone torch, and then boom, things will drain out into your barrels. Another nice thing about these crafters is that they do output a redstone signal based on how full our inventory is. We see right now it's set at 9 because we have all 5 of these slots filled with items and these slots filled with blockers. If we change the amount of slots we have blocked, we see that the redstone signal on the other side changes as well. So this is just keeping track of the number of slots that are filled inside your crafter, and that includes slots that are blocked. Now, the clever redstoners among you will figure out that this means you can use a comparator to power your crafter. Now me, I'm not particularly smart, so it doesn't quite make sense to me yet, but I think it's going to involve some sort of a composter and subtraction mode on the comparator. Let's see if we can get that figured out. So basically, we only want this redstone signal to reach the crafter when the crafter is full. So if we tried to connect it directly, we would see, oh yeah, we make our helmet there, but this line stays powered, which isn't really what we want. That's not going to help us too much here. So maybe what we need to do is we got to subtract off a signal length here. So we can drop a composter, plop this into subtraction mode. We can start filling it up. And we see that should do it, right? Yeah. So now that this is at 1, we can see, oh, if we were to come in here and take an item out, now we're not going to power this thing unless they are all full. So if we don't have our crafter full of items to begin with, we're outputting a signal strength of 1 because we are subtracting 3 from our signal strength. So we can drop all of these iron ingots in here, and we'll see that every time it fills up, it will output an iron helmet, just like we want. Now, there's definitely a more compact way to do this, but this really helps show what's going on, right? So we've got our comparator in subtraction mode. We're sending it a redstone signal that we can customize based off how full this composter is. And as items flow into the crafter, this redstone signal is growing stronger until it gets just strong enough to power our crafter and spit out an item. Honestly, this is really, really cool to me, and I think it's gonna... I've already seen people do amazing things with crafters, and I can't wait to see what else people come up with, but this is definitely going to change the way that I approach the game. It's so nice. Look at all these helmets. I never have to craft an iron helmet again. I can just make it craft itself. Now, there's a lot of different things that we could talk about at this point, but I have something that has been burning in the back of my mind for a while that I want to see if we can make happen. I know that there are a lot of compact ways to make different crafting machines based on specific things that you want to craft, but that's not what I want. I want to make a general crafting station, a place with 9 barrels that you can throw resources into in a particular order, and when you flip a lever, I want all of it to filter down into the crafter, and then it start auto-crafting whatever you ask it to auto-craft. So let's see if we can figure out how to make that happen. Okay, so at its base, what we're going to be doing is replicating a crafting grid. So each of these slots is going to represent 1 slot in a crafting grid. And what we're going to need is something along the lines of a dropper facing down and a hopper going into each of them. Okay, so now that we've got those in place, what I'm imagining here is that we have a water source, and what it's gonna do is move everything in this direction. So I'm gonna have this water source there, and it's gonna push everything out over to this block here. And we can actually just say, okay, that'll be a water source pushing things towards the middle, and that's kind of how that's gonna go. So let's replicate this everywhere. All right, so now that we've got those in, let's drop a nice crafter right there and maybe put a hopper going into it so that we can collect items. And we see, okay, here's our crafter, and it will actually spit things up. And I mean, they could continue on if we wanted to, but we're just going to have it end here for now. Maybe we can have a little collection node there. Grab a hopper and plop it in there. Okay. So hopefully the idea is items come down, they get picked up into this hopper, the hopper places them in the crafting bench, and then we need to work out some redstone to make the crafting bench, the crafter fire, and we'll collect our items here. Okay, so now for this upper layer, what I'm imagining is that we just need to activate these droppers in order. So a redstone signal is going to come by on this side. It's going to activate this redstone torch. And then maybe there's a little bit of delay before that one and a little bit of delay before that one. The sum total of this is going to mean that this one fires, then this one fires, then this one fires. And hopefully that's enough time for all of the items to get where they need to go in the order that they need to go. I guess I'm kind of imagining that that delay needs to be a little bit longer than, say, that delay in order for this to work, but we'll just have to play around with it, find out. Okay, so I think I've got all of the timings worked out. Yeah, I think this is gonna work. So remember, this is just a proof of concept. It's very big and unwieldy and it can be compacted, but we're just looking for a proof of concept. The concept right now is, here is your crafting grid, your 3x3 crafting grid. And what you want to do is say, all right, this item's gonna go in first, then this one, 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 just like the crafter. And you would come in here and you'd put your items in. And what I want to be able to do is just hit a button and have it go. So we're going to fire off the first row, then the second row, then the third row. And if everything has gone according to plan, when we go and look in our crafter, we should see, oh, perfect. We've got an iron nugget, an iron ingot, a block of iron, a gold nugget, a gold ingot, a block of gold, ancient debris, netherite scrap, and netherite ingot in that order. Right, that was the order that they should have fired out of their droppers, and that is the order that they go into the crafter. And we see, now that this crafter is full, it is receiving a redstone signal. If I were to take one block away, it would no longer receive a redstone signal. It's kind of big, it's kind of clunky, but it works. Let's put it to the test and actually try to craft something. And of course, the thing that we're going to want to craft is the crafter itself. So I've put the materials that we need for the crafter in each of these barrels that correspond to the crafting grid. And hopefully, if all goes as it should, I'll hit this button and we will see the items start to pour in. Oh, here they come. There we go. And we've got a crafter in our barrel. I almost expected it not to work, but hey, it does a pretty good job, doesn't it? Now, obviously, this is kind of large, cumbersome. It's rather bulky, kind of slow, but it'll get the job done. You can put it on a nice little clock and it'll just auto-craft all day long. I think that's pretty nice for a first attempt. Now, obviously, it's also nice when you can compactify things and make them a bit smaller so that things aren't quite as big and clunky, but we're not really worrying about that right now. We're just trying to learn how this all works. Now let's say you're not constrained by the need for a generic crafting grid, a generic 3x3 crafting grid, and instead you know exactly what you want to make. You could, for instance, pipe 3 different things of iron in here to keep these minecarts coming quickly, and you could also pipe some TNT down into a crafter to make TNT minecarts. And as long as you make a clock on a really quick tick rate, you can, well, you can make a whole bunch of TNT minecarts in a short amount of time. If you're powering this middle block here, what you're going to see is that you're going to make the TNT minecart and put it in the dispenser. And then after that, the dispenser is going to dispense and you're going to put a new minecart in there before TNT can fill it up. So, I mean, that's probably enough. I think we're dry firing things now. And, well, I wonder how many TNT minecarts I have there. It's just kind of slowly quivering at this point, because there's a lot of entities there. Oh! Well, that'll do it for the day, folks. I hope you had a good time. I know that I did, and, well, I'll see you next time, I guess. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and, come back for more. All right. Yeah. See ya, I guess. Oh man, that was a big one.